Do you consider yourself an expert? I have a guest today who believes that in everyone there is an expert. And so I am so delighted to introduce to you Ann Carden. Ann, say hello to everybody. Ann Carden.
Hey, hey, Lynn, thank you so much for having me here.
Well, I am delighted. Ann Carden is CEO, author, speaker, podcast host, everything. She's everything, because she is an expert at all these things and more. What she loves to do is bring out the expert in all of us. So let me tell you a little bit about Ann, and I'm really thrilled to have you here with us, Ann. Ann Carden is a strategic business growth consultant. That means she helps us all grow in our businesses. She's also CEO of A. Carden Inc. and founder of Expert in You, which is a brand and influence marketing and media agency of her own. Yep. She's also written 4 best-selling books. She's host of a podcast that's in the top 10, and she publishes her own magazine. Not only that, but Ann has over 4 decades of business marketing and sales experience. She has spent over 13 years in corporate America, managing multi-million dollar departments for multi-billion dollar national retail corporations. I mean, Ann has done a little bit of everything, and she's done it well, like an expert. So no wonder Ann has been teaching thousands, even millions actually, of entrepreneurs over 30 years as a professional expert in helping you find your expertise. So, just one other thing, Ann has been featured on ABC, NBC, CW, Fox, media outlets all over the place. And so here I am, so delighted that you decided, Ann, to come over to my little corner of the world and say hello to everybody, all my audience. And I am truly, truly honored to have you with us today, Ann.
Well, thank you. The pleasure and the honor is all mine. I'm excited to be here.
Well, first of all, please tell everyone, if you would, in your own words, why is it that you have this belief that there is an expert in everyone?
Well, when I first decided to come into the consulting space about 13 years ago, after building and selling 5 previous businesses, I invested in a business coaching organization. And they were trying to teach, even though I had all of this business experience and had been very successful, they were trying to teach me sort of a cookie cutter system. And they were trying to teach the same thing to 200 other coaches, except that people were not having success in the system because it wasn't their expertise. They were trying to learn something. It was very much like there was nothing wrong with their program. It's just that they were going back to school in a way before, and so the thing is they had to learn all of their stuff before they could even really go out and start building a business. And it wasn't working for me in the clients that I was bringing in, and I felt like I was really under working beneath my skill set. I wasn't getting to do the things that really fulfilled me as a consultant, the reason I wanted to work with business owners and help them. So I took a step back and I said, what's wrong here? And
Mm.
I realized I'm not really working in my expertise. Like none of this that I'm doing here in their system is my expertise. This isn't it. So even though their system was valuable, it wasn't the right play for me. Well, when I figured this out and I did my entire business, really restructured my entire business, that's where Expert in You came from. So I created this methodology, this framework that I knew worked for many, many years in business. And when I implemented that, my business just exploded. I had previously been hitting this revenue ceiling. I just couldn't seem to break through. And once I implemented my Expert in You system, everything changed. So they started kind of elevating me within the organization. and saying, look what Ann's doing. Like, look how this is working. And so these coaches started coming to me, and they were sending coaches to me. And I would say to them, what was your background? And they would say, oh, I was a music teacher. And you're trying to be a business coach. Like, it's not making sense to me. So you're not probably going to get clients for a long time because they don't believe that you can help them just because you've learned a system. And so there was this distrust. There was this model that was out of alignment for these coaches and these consultants. And so I started working with them, and I started helping them build around their experience, their skill set, their expertise. And that was the game changer for them as well. So I just see so many people have all of this knowledge and experience and expertise, and they're not leveraging it the way they can. I mean, the market is hungry for people that really know what they're doing. But we all have things that we have become great at that could be a business.
That's right. I think that is so dynamic, and really the awareness factor that you brought on, there's something within each person who that that shines. There's something more authentic than
Mhm.
trying to learn somebody else's system, which has worked for other people, but it's not yours. Or it's not, each system might work, but only if you put your own thumbprint on it, your own special secret sauce. And
Mhm.
it has to be an inside out job. Am I right about that, Anne?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I We all have a unique voice, we all have unique stories, we have unique skill sets. And so those kinds of systems can be tools, but they shouldn't be the business. And that was the problem.
Aha.
It was great to have those tools that they could also utilize in the business coaching that they were going to be doing, but that wasn't really what was people weren't buying the stuff. They
Now,
wanted to buy the results.
yeah, I 100% agree with that. And isn't it true that people do want to buy the transformation?
Yes,
They want to buy
100%.
the results. What's in it for them? And I think that when you're training your coaches, it's the same thing. What's in it for
Mhm,
your coach? Because your coach then is your client. You're helping them build their business, right?
mhm.
Coach, consultants, and am I right? Most of
Yeah,
your clients are coaches and consultants. So those of you in my audience who are coaches and consultants, I want you to really listen, lean in,
professional
listen,
service entrepreneurs. So
and
anybody selling, yeah,
entrepreneurs.
professional services. Mhm,
Okay, professional
mhm.
services. All right. Um, Tell us, one thing I forgot to tell everyone is that Anne built and sold 5 businesses in her career. I mean, this is after she was working with the corporate
Mhm.
world. So, Anne, I mean, you are a serial entrepreneur yourself. Tell us what kind of businesses were these? How
Mhm.
did you come about, you know, uh, building and then selling? I mean, that's an extraordinary track record.
Thank you.
And I'm
Well,
sure that you pull upon that knowledge when you help others, and it broadens the scope of how you do help others. Could you just tell us a little bit about that journey?
yes. So when I made the decision to leave corporate, my kiddos were little. My daughter had just been born, so she was very young, a little over a year. And I was in retail management in high end department stores, and I didn't want that life for my kids. Even though I was married, it was the hours were terrible. I felt like they were being raised by daycare. It just wasn't what I feel like I was being called by God to do, and I wanted to be a stay at home mom. So my husband and I made the decision to move back to the Midwest. We were living in California at the time, which is where my kids were born. And we moved back to the Midwest. We used everything that we had to make the move to buy a home in the country. And there was no opportunity around. And so we were living, trying to make it on my husband's paycheck. He was driving back and forth to the city, and the math just didn't work. I mean, we were just financially struggling, and I didn't want to lose everything. The stress was enormous on our family. And I started thinking, how can I make some money? But there really just were not opportunities. Plus, at that time, my husband gave back a company vehicle when we made the move, so we were down. We had one vehicle, couldn't afford to buy another, and everything. And I knew that it was going to be tough to be a stay-at-home mom and be on one income. I knew that, but I had no idea how hard it was going to be. Like we didn't have anything extra. It was just such a challenge. So I sat down one day and really prayed for a solution, and I got an idea. There was the craft industry was really exploding. This was again over 30 years ago.
Mhm.
The craft industry was kind of exploding across the United States, and so I thought, okay, well, I'm very crafty. I know how to do things, and I thought I am going to see if I can just make up some things. And there's a little store in town where I can do consignment, so I can go put my things in this little store. Well, I did that, and after 3 weeks, I had a box of stuff that was stored, where I just took those things and started making some things. And so when I took them into the little store, she said, "I don't know if these will sell, but I'll put them in here." Okay, thanks. Thanks for that
Yeah.
encouragement. So after 3 weeks, I had sold nothing. So our financial situation had not changed. And I went in and I did some market research. I asked her, "What's selling?" That was my market research. I said, "What are
Oh,
your best sellers?" Yeah. She showed me, she said, these rabbit dolls. And I don't know, Lynn, if you remember the animal dolls and things that people would decorate their homes with, and they would have them all over their homes. So I thought, I have no idea how to do a rabbit doll, but I will figure it out, because if that's what's selling, then I'm going to make a rabbit doll. So I went and just researched a lot of patterns. I borrowed my mom's sewing machine. And long story short, that doll business went global. I was in stores all across the country. I was shipping all over the world. This was before the internet, so I was advertising in international magazines
for
and
heaven's
shipping all over the
sake.
world. Had moms coming in and out of my home. The great thing is I got to help other moms. They got to work for me. And so
Okay.
they were doing a lot of pieces. So I was basically running a manufacturing company out of my home. And every day the UPS truck was coming to my house and picking up, and so did that for 7 years, and eventually, so everything they were my own designs. They were signed and numbered. So this is where I also had premium, which is the model that I teach today. I had premium dolls, and people would wait for the next set of dolls to come out.
Oh my
um,
God.
my business changed when there was some Noah's Ark fabric that came out, that a lot of people were using for nurseries and things like that. And I thought, God inspired me and gave me the idea. Why don't you do animals 2 by 2? So I would do a male and a female, and I did an entire Noah's Ark line. And so people would wait for the next set of Noah's Ark dolls to come out. And I had people that collected them. And you wouldn't think that dolls, I actually thought this came out on a podcast. I thought about this one day when I was talking about this. And I had a lady call me from Iceland. And you wouldn't think dolls would really, like craft dolls, would really impact people or make an impact. I was just doing things to help my family, right? But I loved what I was doing. And I had a lady call from Iceland one day, and she said, "When are your next dolls coming out?" Because back then, they had to call you on the phone, right?
Yeah.
Um, and
Or
she
telegram, like,
Yes, yes. And so she was buying the dolls that I had, and so she placed an order. But she said, when is your next set coming out?" And I said, "Well, I'm working on, I don't remember what it was, another set of animals," and told her that. And she said, "I just have to tell you." She said, "My husband is in the military, and we're in Iceland, and it is so lonely here." And she said, "Your dolls have just really given me comfort, and I love them. I look forward to them. I love them. I love seeing them." And I was so taken back, because I wouldn't have thought that
oh,
about craft dolls. But anyway, so I did that for 7 years, and then made the decision to get out of that. I was doing patterns. I was working with a pattern company, and I was doing all the designs so people could make my dolls. And I was really tired of the industry. We were also seeing a shift in the market. A lot of imports were coming in. And I
yes.
made the decision to sell out the patterns and the designs. So that's what
Probably
I did.
just in the nick of time, before the cheaper Chinese
Yeah, it was already
imported.
happening. Hmm.
Yes, already happening. So
Yeah.
did you sell to a corporation or another
Yeah.
small entity or
It was a pattern company. They were fairly
pattern?
large. Yeah, they were international. And
How
so,
interesting.
yeah, I sold my designs out to them. And then they could continue, people could continue to make the dolls if they wanted. But I saw a shift in the market. And so
I love it.
I
I love
transferred
it.
out.
You can always, my brain is already on fire for the possibility that you could have taken those Noah's Ark 2x2 animal dolls and created a television show for children of ark animals.
There
Hey,
you
maybe
go.
you still can. Let's get the license
Yeah.
back. Oh my gosh, it's a lovely idea. But how exciting is that? To take your own strengths, right? Your own expertises and
Mhm.
create an entire business from your home that went international. And then, did you hear she sold to a willing buyer of pattern manufacturing, global pattern manufacturing? And that's just was the beginning. That's just one
Mhm.
corporation. What came next, Anne?
So I had gained a lot of weight in that business because it was really sedentary and I had never been out of shape in my life. And I kind of hit a point after I decided to exit that business. I really was like, I don't know what I'm going to do next. And I actually, my kids were in school by now, and I felt there still wasn't the opportunity around because I still lived in the same place. And I thought, I have no idea what my next thing is going to be, but I sort of felt like I was a bit depressed because I had this, it was busy, it was keeping me busy, it had served us really well, and then I didn't have anything. In a way, I almost felt like I lost some identity there. And
Hmm.
so I think people can relate to that when they
I'm sure.
go through a transition, right? So I
Yes.
didn't know what my next thing would be, but I knew I didn't feel good. I knew I didn't feel healthy. And I thought, well, I don't know what my next thing is going to be, but the one thing I do have control over is how I take care of myself and what I do. So I started working out, got in the best shape of my life, and said, I think I want to teach other people how to get in shape. So I studied, I ordered some programs that taught me nutrition, that taught me uh, exercise and how to run fitness classes and personal training and all of that. And I started teaching classes in a community hall in a small, very small local. It's called a village. That should tell you how small it is.
Mhm.
And started teaching some classes, and there were not a lot of gyms and things like that around. I went to a back to school barbecue with my kids and handed out flyers to the moms and said, hey, do you want to take fitness classes with me? Long story short, I was in that business for 20 years. I built 2 health clubs, 2 weight loss centers, and then sold all of those. So
Oh my gosh. Just listen to that, everyone who is listening. Now, can you get some ideas for yourself, especially if you're in transition and maybe a little bit depressed? There are ideas that will come to you if you are open to your own possibilities, the expertise, the interests. Listen to the interests that impacted Anne. She was interested in losing weight. She was interested in getting in shape, and she made it into something that was her expertise that then crafted another business. Wow,
mm,
I'm impressed. And that is so inspiring.
thank
That's
you.
2 out of 5. Then what?
Well, so I had 2 health clubs and I had
Okay.
2 weight loss centers that
Okay.
I built as well. So those were the
I
other
see.
four
Oh,
that I
6.
sold. So
Okay,
it was
great.
all in the health and fitness industry.
Okay.
But
Hmm.
I was in that for 20 years. So I had one health club, then I built a weight loss, then I had a weight loss center, which was a more formal business because I was doing nutrition and teaching people weight loss and everything in my health club. But then I actually bought into a licensed program, which was very much like a franchise. So it was its own separate business, but they fed each other. This is one of the strategies I teach people is when you're expanding and when you're building, don't try to create 2 different businesses, which is what a lot of people do, that there's no connection. build two businesses, expand by having them feed each other, which
Yes.
is what I do now. I have my consulting side of my business, my strategic consulting, and where I'm advising and working with people to build their business. But then I have my expert in you agency. Well, that actually spun off of the things in the marketing that I was already helping people do with from the consulting side. So the agency feeds the consulting feeds the agency. And
All
so,
right. That's absolutely brilliant, and which segues really into how you help people now.
mhm,
And so, could you talk a little bit about you? You are a strategic advisor
mhm.
uh, that for entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, and it sounds to me that it's not just a working with someone to maximize their expertise, although that's probably the foundation of it. But I have heard that what you really love to do is help people maximize the amount of income that they charge so that they're charging, let's call it a high net worth uh, product or service,
Mhm.
and how to actually believe in yourself enough to move up the scale to become not just an expert, but the greatest expert on earth.
Well, thank you. Yes. So, one of the things that I love to help people do is take all of their expertise and their knowledge and their experience and put that together into a premium business model. And I've
Premium
done,
business
yeah,
model.
I've helped
Mhm.
people do
Thank
this in
you.
over 80 different industries, hundreds of businesses from plumbing companies to, I mean, you name it. There is not an industry out there that you could not do this. One of the things that people do is they say, "Oh, I think I'm going to start a business. And so I'm going to do it around this. I'm passionate about this." But they have all this expertise they're leaving out. So instead of saying, "Well, I'm passionate about this," at some point it still has to be marketable. It still has to be a viable product that can grow and can build a sustainable business. Passion isn't enough. So I help them really curate all of that together so that they're still doing something they love to do, but they're doing it at the highest level. So they get to really maximize the revenue that they're making, the profits that they're making. And I really believe too, when you're an expert at something, you shouldn't be making little bitty beginner or amateur fees. And I see this happen a lot. People come from this massive, let's just say somebody comes from corporate, they've been a CEO, and they kind of fall into sort of the what's taught out there in the online world. And I made this mistake, so this is where I'm coming from. They're kind of taught, go into something, people don't know you, and people, so go into these low fees, do a little course, run a little coaching program. You don't have to charge very much. And that is often the wrong play for people who are truly experts. They need to be the people that are at the highest level. And a lot of people aren't doing that. So I've been able to help people go from getting $1,500 clients to $50,000 clients, or helping people that were charging a few $1,000s a month charge a multi six figure sale or client, that because they deserved to make that money. They just didn't know how to do that. They didn't have the pieces put in place. And so this is what I've helped people do all across industries.
Now, you had an example that you had shared with me that I thought was very interesting, um, as it relates to this idea of a premium business.
Mhm.
And of course, anyone can build a business. There's especially in an industry where there's not a lot of a cost of entry. Coaching industry is one of those. There's no real licensing that one has to have, so it's there's a low entry level. So there's, but so how do you take what is a run of the mill opportunity and realize that you can make a premium business out of it? And you gave me an example, and love it if you would share this example to others. Even a plumbing uh, industry or company, which you would think of as a brick and mortar
Mhm.
organization that helps, goes from house to house to house with plumbing issues. And yet there's a way to shift that into a premium
Yes.
plumbing business, and I'm making a couple of different analogies here so that you can fill in the dots for us all. How do you see the normal person that you help, or the maybe not normal, because I don't think that there's any normal. We're all special. But
Yes.
those of us who have an expertise, we have a God-given talent. We,
Mhm.
and and you are here to say to us, make it premium, make it the best that you can offer to the world. Don't put a bucket over your head and stay small. And is it a lot of mindset, Anne, or is it more an understanding of how to build a premium business?
Well, it's really interesting. I get asked this question a lot when I'm guesting on podcasts about, is it mindset? And I would say mindset is secondary to awareness.
Mm,
Most people are not aware that they could be doing this. I'll give you an example. When I first came into the consulting space, I had a business coach before the company that I had talked about, where they had their other coaches. And I remember this coach, I was listening to some of her information, and she said, if you don't have a $50,000 offer, you cannot sell it. And I thought, $50,000? Are you
yeah.
kidding? Like, who would buy anything for $50,000? Like, what would I even sell at that level? Because I wasn't charging anywhere close to those kinds of fees. Yet I was helping my clients get major impact in their business, like adding hundreds of thousands of dollars and even millions of dollars to their business. And I was making peanuts. And
Yeah.
so I thought, well, that sounds great. I didn't even know that was a thing. So some of it, Lynn, is awareness. People don't even know they could be doing this. This is often the case. And then once they're aware, then becomes the, could I do this? Or I don't think I could do that. So that's where the mindset is really secondary to knowing that there's the opportunity. I always say, I remember the first time I heard somebody say she had $1 million day, and I'm like, $1 million day. Wow, I can't even imagine that. But then I'm like, whoa, I want $1 million day. Like, once I knew that somebody did it,
That is possible.
that it was possible,
Mhm.
then I knew, okay, now it's figuring out how to do it. And I
And that,
remember,
and that was in your own industry.
yeah, that was it, actually, in the industry now. Yes.
Okay.
So that's that awareness. And when I hear somebody say they had $1 million hour, I'm like, okay, how did they do that? Like, I'm inquiring. I want to know, how did they do that? So when people know that the opportunity is there for them to build $1 million or even beyond business from their expertise, by knowing what to do, because you have to learn how to do it, right? But once they know that they can do it, then I believe that if they're inspired, they'll start seeking the opportunity and the way to do it.
Well, that's why I invited Anne to be on this podcast, everyone, because truly she inspired me. She said the last
Mhm.
time I spoke with her, she said to me that she has a client that just recently uh, pulled in a $400,000 client.
Mhm.
That was not a $40,000 client. That was not a $4,000 client. That was a $400,000 client. And
Mhm.
she said, if it's possible for him, it's possible for you. And I thought, really?
Mhm.
And suddenly, your brain starts to uh, dissipate the fog of confusion and the fog of fear and the fog of all those other things, and say, well, wait a minute. If it is possible, and that is the awareness piece that you're talking
Mhm.
about, if it is
Right.
possible, then it's, curiosity comes next. And there is no better person than someone with a skill set that knows how to bring you into your alignment with your own greatest self than Ann Carden. And I would love for you to let everyone know how to get in touch with you. Um, and at your, I know you have two major businesses. One is a consulting business, and then you have an agency.
Yes.
that either I think either one of them might be an opportunity for some of the people who are listening today. So could you just give us an idea? Is it the A Carden Inc. company?
Yes. So my website, so I have two websites, annlcarden.com, which is my
Carden.
name with the middle initial. And then the other website is expertinu.com. So one is the agency and one is the consulting. Again, they intermix. You're going to see a lot of the same things on both of those websites anyway. But yes, you can get in touch with me either way. But if you're interested in like building a business, then go to the annlcarden.com site and you can book a call. You can grab some free resources. And I'm also all over social. I have a podcast. I have a YouTube channel. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. So you can find me other places, but those are the best
What is
places.
the name of your podcast?
Expert in You.
Expert in
And
You.
that's the name of my magazine. You can go to expertinyoumagazine.com and download that digital free copy, which is a beautiful magazine with trailblazers in it.
Let's
Uh,
all do that. Come
yeah,
on. Let's do that right now. Expertinu.com.
magazine.com, or you can get it on my website too. Yeah.
All right, and we'll put that in our show notes.
Okay.
Expertinyoumagazine.com,
Hmm.
and we'll put
Yeah.
all of these websites as well in our show notes. And so, oh, Anne, this is exciting. Is
Thank
there
you.
anything else that you'd like to say, or maybe just how do you love to begin a relationship with people? Is there any particular way that you really love your initial uh,
Well, they can
conversation?
certainly engage with me on social media. I love to have conversations with people, and I connect with people on social media all the time. That's also something I teach my clients to do. So I have to live it, right? I have to walk the walk,
Yeah,
or walk the talk, I should say. But I love to, when I work with people, I first find out, I have just an initial conversation with them and find out what their opportunities are. And here's the other thing, Lynn, I only work with so many clients a year. So if it's not a good fit, I'm very upfront with that, and I can usually refer them out. Or if so, I really want to be clear about that. That if it isn't someone that I feel like this is a fit or that I could do this with them, they're not in the
but
right
there's a way
place.
that you know that, right? That you can go through a way in which you find out if it's a match.
Yeah, I have an application process. So if
Okay,
someone wants
perfect.
to work with me, they can book a call. It takes them
Okay.
then to an application, gives me more information, and then I look at those. And if I feel like what they're wanting isn't really what I do or it's not the right thing, then I will let them know. If I'm not sure, I'll get on a call with them and look at what their opportunities are, and we just go from there. So it starts with booking a call and filling out that application.
Oh, wonderful. And once you find a fit, then just imagine what can happen. Your expertise, Anne, will help you find your voice, find your expertise, find that special something within you that not only just begins to, I'm sure, elevate everything, your messaging, your brand, your
Everything.
business, but then wouldn't you love to have Anne's help to move it into a premium atmosphere?
Mhm.
Yes?
And you can do that from the very beginning when you really do have expertise packaged up and marketed in the right way. You can do it from the very beginning, even if you're starting your business. Hmm.
Why waste time? Let's go right to the top and develop the best that we can be. If you're
Absolutely.
all for that, then I do want you to get in touch with Ann Carden. And thank you so much. Is there anything last minute that you'd like to add to our listeners for our
No,
listeners
I
today?
I think you have covered it all. I just would encourage people that if you're maybe in a business already and you're feeling somewhat unfulfilled, or you feel like you're working beneath your skill set, or maybe you feel like, why am I charging this when I've got all of this experience? Then you've got a bigger play there, and I would love to talk to you because
Excellent.
there's more opportunity. Hmm.
Excellent. There's lots of choices out in the marketplace
Hmm.
for a business coach, and you might as well work with a business coach that really is interested in you and maximizing your greatest potential. And I think that's why I wanted Ann on here, because Ann is someone who can really help you move up that ladder quickly. And why not do that?
Thank
So
you.
honor yourself, reach out to Ann Carden. And Ann, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, everybody. Until next time, we'll see you on Money Talks with Lynn Kitchen.